I know you can wait and see. That 2000s like alternative rock playlist has just been getting to me recently. All right.
Oh, I like the 2000s pop punk playlist.
Oh, we're kind of lagging right now.
Little laggy right now,
Little
Mike.
buffering on the stream. Get that dial-up
That
connection going.
that five internet is really
Shut up.
having issues this morning.
All right. What's going
Our
on,
pleasure,
guys?
Jeremy.
What's up?
What's
What's
up,
up?
boys?
Backstrom or Brady and ESPN scoring?
Brady Kachuk.
Brady's my boy, so I'm a biased fan. I'm gonna say Brady. What's the Mete line change? It's showing me over here. Oh, he's playing? No way. Oh, never mind. Anderson was sent home. So Anderson's playing. Just came out.
Okay, nice.
Okay, that's good. So we can remove that. Remove that little hurt tag we have there. Look at a channel set in the chat. He's like, we were talking about the Kings yesterday. I'm like, I got a Amadio jersey at home. He's like, why do you have an Amadio jersey? Casey DeSmith is starting today. Okay.
How long is McKinnon out for? Do you have any info on that?
I don't think
haven't
anyone
heard anything.
knows. I'm kind of sad about it though.
Painful, dude.
Okay, yeah, we got Markstrom starting too. As per usual, he's so good. What a good signing from them. We actually don't have anyone in Calgary 3. I mean, it's not like I'm going to talk about Calgary 3 today, but so Levo, because Bennett's out, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't even know, because we don't know what's going to happen with Bennett, so we'll just leave it. I faded McDavid again last night. Yeah. Man, it's so hard, like, playing on slates with McDavid. Like, I want to try and explain it to everyone. Like, for people that, aren't really too familiar with DraftKings, like, the importance of ownership and, like, how McDavid ruins slates, because he's always, like, 50% owned. And it's just so hard, especially if you're doing, like, let's say you do 10 lineups. Like, there's no way you're getting to 7 or 8 lineups with McDavid in all of your 10. So he kind of just ruined it for everyone last night. Selfish. I even had, like, a decent amount of of McDavid. All right, I think I got to... My face looks a little bright right now. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So, how did you do last night?
I actually didn't play last night. I usually just take Sundays off.
Yeah,
I looked at the slate and I didn't think it was bad, and I was thinking about playing, but I made that decision a little too late, and then I didn't see any good contests, so I just kind of took the night off.
Yeah, the contests were bad yesterday. I think I played 100 lineups, and I had probably one of my worst nights because of McDavid. So I was in second, fourth, fifth, and eighth at one point, like before the Edmonton game, and I was winning a lot, and then the Edmonton game started. So
Always happens, dude. And Connor's always the one to like
yeah,
screw you over.
just like seeing some of those lineups was so random. Like people would just have like McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, Neal, and then like Anthony Mantha one off, and then like two random defensemen, and then like that goalie on Chicago net. I'm just like, come on. Whatever. Who should I keep in a points league between Landeskog and Ehlers? Oh, that's so close. I mean, Ehlers is top line now, but I would still say Landeskog gets the bump because he's power play 1. McDavid was 54. Yeah, he was like 49% in the mini-max last night. Like, it was ridiculous. Rip my fantasy.
Ray, how's it going?
Rip my fantasy if McKinnon's out. I just got Pedersen, though. Yeah, that's mint if you got Pedersen. I was trying to tell people to buy low on him, and then he scored, like, what, 4 goals? Mrazek injured, not much left in free agency. Is Reimer available? I'm going to talk about it in my video that I'm posting today. Five-man PP stack. That's what you did, Devils. Nice. I didn't get to any 5-man stacks. I barely looked to do it, but I mean it makes sense with the Oilers. So Yeah, Neil with the 2 goals too. Yeah, I had like maybe a couple 4-man Edmonton stacks and nothing got it. Nothing cashed. My highest was like 185 points, so like 190 points last night, and still wasn't enough. Would you trade Forsberg, Yamamoto, Fiala for Giroux, Oshie, and William Karlsson? I would keep the Forsberg side. Would you trade Scheifele for Zib? I would not. I would keep Scheifele. Anyone in that Canadian division instantly gets a bump.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a 5-game slate tonight. Hopefully, we make some money. Last night was kind of a nightmare for most people, unless you did what Devils did and stacked 5 Oilers players up. But for you people that didn't, you know, there probably wasn't too much profit last night. But new slate, new day, fresh bankroll. Hopefully we can win some money. All right. So Canucks, Canadians. Again, Canadian division, always getting that extra bump. The Canucks have been really good, but I think it's going to be kind of something to monitor tonight, especially because they did have a 3-game road stand or home stand. I can't remember if they were home. I think they were home actually against the Oilers. No, against. Oh my God, I'm off today. Woof. So they had 3 games against the Senators, and the Canucks took complete advantage of that. Hopefully you guys started Demko. Hopefully you guys started your Bester, Miller, Pedersons in your fantasy leagues, but kind of a hard matchup tonight against the Canadians. Canadians have their first loss in regulation. They've been shutting teams down. They've been limiting a bunch of scoring chances. They've been actually pretty good on the penalty kill too, with a lot of defensive centers and defensive defensemen. They've been pretty much the only good defensive team in this Canadian division. So I don't mind the Canucks here tonight. I do think it's a hard matchup for the Canucks first line going against the Danault line, who's proven time and time again to be shutting down lines consistently in games. So I'm going to be a little underweight on the Canucks 1 tonight, I think. I just think there's better spots, better value. If I were to decide between picking Canucks 1 at 17.4 or Canadians 1 at 13.9, I'm probably taking Canadians 1. Canucks 2 here, pretty good value. Höglander and Pearson both under 4K, definitely bringing that price down. They're playing a decent amount of minutes. Höglander and Pearson are both PP2. We all know Horvat's on the first power play unit, so that's a little bump for him. They've been really good 5-on-5, but again, just a really tough matchup against this Canadian second line. So Canucks are in kind of a tough spot tonight. On the defensive side, I don't mind Hughes at 5,800. The only time I'm taking him is if I'm taking the Canucks first line. And even with that 5,800 price tag, it makes them relatively expensive. So you're going to have to pay down elsewhere. But aside from that, Edler's not a bad one-off defenseman. He's a guy that'll get you a few shots and a few blocks, but his minutes are down this year. So, I'm going to kind of play the field with this Canucks defense core. There's nothing too eye-popping here. And then Holtby and net at 7,300 is fine. Like, Montreal shoots a fair amount, but I can't see myself getting into too much Holtby.
Yeah, for sure. I think the 5-on-5 matchup is definitely a tough one against the Canadians, but the Canadians do tend to take a couple penalties, so I like the first line just because of that full power play correlation. And like you said, if you want to throw Quinn Hughes in there in a couple of your lineups, definitely do that just because that correlation, as well as the line 2 price is fairly cheap. You probably get to them as like a filler. But again, like I don't like the 5-on-5 matchup really, so if anything, I'm probably just going with Canucks 1 tonight, and I probably won't get to too much Holtby, just because the Canadians have been so good, and their scoring rate is extremely high still right now. So they saw that loss to Calgary there in regulation as their first win this season, but other than that, they've just been running over teams.
So I'm just doing a little look here. Of the top 7 teams for penalty minutes, 5 are from the Canadian division. So Vancouver,
Wow.
Toronto, Edmonton, Montreal, and Ottawa are all in the top 7 for penalty minutes. Vancouver's number 1 with 80 minutes. So
Wow.
It could have something to do with the fact that Edmonton and Vancouver have 11 games, and most other teams, they're the only 2 teams with 11 games. But the difference isn't too high. So it seems like these teams are getting penalized a bunch in the Canadian division. So lack of discipline here. Canadian side, love Canadians 1 tonight. We were talking about them before the show and how they never seem to pop off. and they have all these great underlying factors. Their expected goals are consistently been high over the last 2 seasons. They produce a ton of scoring chances every game. And, it's just hard for me to get away from them. I think it's such a favorable matchup against the Canucks. And like I just mentioned, they're the most penalized team. So the Canadians are going to have plenty of opportunity in their own end. I do like that Holtby starting too. I think Demko is the better goalie. So I'm definitely going to have some Canadians one tonight. Favorable matchup against Canucks one. I definitely like the Canadians two tonight too. I'm happy that Anderson is finally under 5K. Remember when he first started at 3,000 and we were like, yep, this is going to come up. But I think the 4,600 price tag is favorable. They're a really good value tonight. Both lines you can fit with most other lines across the league, depending on which one we're talking about. But I definitely really like Canadians 1 and 2 tonight. On the defensive end, Petry's finally down from his 6,800 price tag. But I do think he's still too pricey at 6,100, just a lot for me. Especially, we'll talk about him later, but Yossi's at 5,700 tonight. So I just think there's better options here on the decor. But I do like Ben Sherratt. He's someone that shoots and blocks a lot and plays a ton of minutes. If the Canadians get into some penalty trouble, which we've seen this season, Sherratt's their penalty kill guy. So he's going to get a few blocks tonight. Canucks love to shoot. So price at 8,200 is fine. Again, just goalies in this Canadian division are really hard for me to justify why I'm taking them.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to go anywhere in the Canadian division for a goalie, you should go with whoever starts for Montreal. Carey Price has looked well-rested and poised throughout the entire season so far. And Montreal's just very good at, like you said, limiting scoring chances. So I'm definitely a lot more confident in taking a Habs goalie than I would any other goalie in the Canadian division. Outside of Jacob Markstrom, probably. But in terms of the Canadians, like, line one will always get the hard matchup. They always play against the other team's top line, so that'll be the Pettersson, Miller, Besser line. And they always seem to to just get more scoring chances than that line consistently. So, but like Mike said, you never see that line be the nuts on a slate. And this is probably going to be the one night that they do score 4 or 5 goals between the three of them. And I'm going to eat my words again, but I like line 2 over line 1 just because, number one, they get the easier matchup against, not that Horvat's an easy matchup, but I would rather go against Pearson and Hoglander than it's just the Danault factor, right? Like, whoever Danault goes up against, you take the other line to match up against. So I like line 2. Line 3 is also good value right now, even though Corey Perry is 2,700. He's seen a little bit of production. I wouldn't be taking him as a one-off by any means, but I think that line 3 does still have a little bit of value. And if I'm looking at this right, there's no Josh Anderson on the power play at all, which is
really
kind of interesting. They have Corey Perry on the second power play unit with Kotkaniemi, Gallagher, Tatar, and Romanov. So you get a little bit of power play correlation there, even though it's a second power play unit. I think Montreal likes to split up their lines, but Toffoli is on the first power play, so you get some power play correlation with that third line as well, which is nice. And then in terms of D, like you said, Petry's price is way too high for me. I think Weber's at a decent price there for 5,600. Yeah. We haven't quite seen his peripherals as high as they normally are for him, so his shots and blocks numbers are kind of down to start the season, but still in that first power play unit. And Romanov for 4,300. I think he's, like I said in the last time, he's come back down to earth in terms of his hype surrounding him, and his peripherals are kind of average at best. But I do like Sherratt for 3,200. I think that's a great price for him.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Weber, and the reason why his projection is so high, is because his goal, like, he scores. Like, he's probably the only defenseman that can, like, casually score 2 or 3 goals in a game, and no one would blink an eye. So that's the biggest thing with Weber. All right, Penguins, Rangers. I'm sure you guys are curious to hear me talk about this Penguins 2 line, but we'll start with the Penguins 1. So I did some research just before we started here. So Gensel, Crosby, Rust went up against that Zibanejad line and absolutely worked them last game. They had 12 scoring chances for. I think they only scored 1 goal, but they were dominating the Rangers' first line. They were producing chances like crazy, barely had any time in their own zone. I've mentioned it before, but the Rangers are the worst penalty kill in the league over the last 2 seasons. And this Penguins first line, all is power play 1 correlation. We don't see anyone over 7K, so they are, a bit pricey. But I mean, given the fact they all played 20 minutes a night, they're all almost point per game players, and they're all in the first power play unit, I think their price is justifiable. So I'm definitely going to be getting to some Penguins 1 tonight. I think it's one of my favorite lines. We'll go through some more, but I just think it's such a favorable matchup, both 5-on-5 and on the power play. And the Penguins second line, so their prices all came down again. I think Malkin might have been at 5,200 actually. But yeah, again, just a favorable matchup against the Rangers. Their second line has been not bad defensively. I know the Panarin line typically was pretty bad last season, so I'm assuming the Malkin line is going against them. I did some research into that, so I think it's a really favorable spot for Penguins too as well. Their price is really low. You can easily pair them with any line. Like I was mentioning earlier, like with Canucks 1, they're pretty expensive, but I mean, you could easily match them with Penguins too. So something that not only myself, but most people are probably going to be doing tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw quite a bit of ownership on Penguins 2 tonight. So Crystal Tang, he's out tonight, and this is something we were talking about before the show. We saw Pierre-Olivier Joseph. He was up to 25 minutes last game. I mean, he's a good value at 3K, but I think you can't go wrong with John Marino here at 2,500. I think he's going to get power play 1 duties. He's going to get first pairing duties. It's kind of hard for me to shy away from a defenseman going against a terrible defensive team like the Rangers, and he's min price. So I'm assuming Marino is going to step into Letang's spot on the top pairing and the top power play unit. So he's not only a great pick in your season-long leagues right now, but he's a really good pick tonight for DraftKings. He's probably my favorite defenseman tonight. And then Casey DeSmith starting. He's just been a nightmare. Penguins defense have been a nightmare, like you predicted. So not too high on DeSmith tonight.
Yeah, it's the Penguins and the Rangers are probably 2 of the worst defensive teams in that division there. And I think it benefits probably the Penguins more than the Rangers, just because the Rangers have struggled to score out of the gate in terms of what we saw from them last year. So I definitely like Penguins 1 tonight. I think you get what you're paying for with that line. You always get what you're paying for when you take Sidney Crosby, though, to be honest. And full power play correlation. They're all above 6K, which makes them expensive. But like I said, I think that's a good option, especially if you throw John Marino in there for 2,500. Like that's a really sneaky play that's going to bring your power play price down for sure. And especially like Mike said, if the Rangers are going to continuously be as bad as they are in the penalty kill, then absolutely you want to take whichever team matches against them at least a couple power play stacks. So I really like that Pens first line. And then their second line, like Malkin is still kind of struggling, but I think the price definitely still warrants the upside for me. So I'm going to have some of them as well, just as like potentially a filler stack. And then I'm probably off the third line altogether. And John Marino for 2,500 will be your best punt defenseman on the slate tonight. Like Mike said, he's getting power play 1 time. He saw 23 minutes, or he's seeing around 23 minutes. And it's only going to go up with Letang being out, right? So definitely, if you want a min price D, you're taking him. Even if you don't need a min price D, you're probably still taking him with your pen stacks and just paying up for a better D. And then I'm completely off Casey DeSmith tonight, as well as whoever starts for the Rangers.
I don't know who we have starting for the Rangers here. I haven't really seen much about that. So yeah, the Rangers side.
Unconfirmed.
Rangers side. So Zib, Lafreniere, Buchnevich seems to be the top line. The Rangers were kind of a mess. I was looking into it a little bit. Seems like they were just mixing and matching last game. That Zib line was getting absolutely pummeled by the Crosby line. They had 0 scoring chances for and 8 against. So they were having a really tough time. And then they moved Zib with Strome and Panarin for a little bit. I don't know what's going on there with the Rangers. They just can't figure it out right now. I just can't see myself having too much Rangers tonight. It is a favorable spot against a terrible Penguins team. But, I mean, I just don't like the mix and match. So I think you're going to have to get a little different here and maybe take, like, Zib, Buch, Panarin, or, like, Zib, Buch, Strome, something like that. Like, you're going to have to get a little weird just because of their line mixing up. So if you're going to take 3-3 stacks, just be cautious. It seems like when the Rangers get down a couple goals, they like to shift their players a little bit, similar to the Sheldon Keefe style. So we'll see what happens here. But I don't mind Rangers 1. The prices are pretty favorable, especially with Zib at 6,500. He's a really high volume shooter. They project pretty well for us, so I can definitely see myself getting to a little bit of them. Line 2, again, it's just a really tough matchup. I guess no, the Malkin line has been pretty bad defensively, so it's not bad, but I just think Kako has been super bad offensively, and he's kind of bringing this line down a little bit. I wish Kreider was up, but not too high on the Rangers tonight at all. And on the defensive side, Adam Fox at 6K is still way too pricey for me. I don't know why he's not down at all. I think I took one share of him 2 nights ago, and he was like 1% owned, so no one else is on him. So he's not a bad contrarian defenseman, but I just can't see myself getting to him. And then Trouba at 3,400 tonight. I know we talked about how he's been kind of underwhelming this year, but that is pretty cheap for him. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He likes to block, likes to shoot, so I don't mind him at that price. And not sure who's starting tonight, but they are going to be my 10-foot pole.
Yeah, we can get to some questions because I'll be brief with the Rangers. So Nick was saying, should I trade Barry for Dougie Hamilton? If you can get that trade to go through, you've absolutely fleeced him. Devin Taves on my IR right now. I picked up Nick Ritchie this morning. Yeah, Richie's fine. Is he getting power play time in Boston?
Still is power play one time, yeah.
Wow, okay. Ty Smith or Falk in a points league? Falk, probably.
It's close.
Yeah, Ty Smith is good. Like, he's been seeing success with New Jersey there.
For tonight, those guys might be better in the future. Yeah, I'd probably take Evander Kane in a points league over Dubé and Backlund. I think Backlund's probably a drop in a points league. Wonder if Letang's out for a while. Letang always gets injured, man.
He does. It sucks.
Ignore Brew.
Okay. I'll go over the Rangers briefly. I think Mike pretty much summed it up. Like, I'm also not as keen on the Rangers as I am on the Penguins tonight, which is surprising because if you know me, I think the Penguins are a nightmare defensively, especially with Letang being out. It'll be interesting to see how they do. But I just think the Rangers are struggling right now, and personally, I think there's better options on the slate. So if you can fit some of like line 2 in, just because Kako's on that line now and it brings the price down, just as like a filler potentially with like another like min price line, I think that's a good option. Just because, like I said, the Penguins are bad defensively as well. But I'm not too keen on the Rangers tonight. I just think there's better options on the slate. And if they decide to go off tonight and Zib finally finds his footing. Same thing with Lafreniere. Like I'm okay being wrong in that sense, but I'm riding the slump right now with them, and until they start to show me that they've got their team sorted and they've seen a little bit of offensive production, I'm probably just fading them tonight against, in my opinion, just a better top 2 lines with the Penguins.
Yeah, absolutely. I have Yossi, Theodore, Taze, Falk, and Grzelcyk. Need to replace one this week since Grzelcyk and Taze are injured. Any suggestions? Is Noah Dobson or Ty Smith available in your league? Rasmus Anderson too. Those are options. Who would you trade Barkov for, and would you trade him? I probably wouldn't trade Barkov, but if you're looking for someone to trade him for, like Pedersen, Point, Zib, something like that. Any thoughts on Fiala? I like Fiala moving forward. He got suspended, so it's kind of hard to justify, but still seeing a lot of minutes, a lot of shot opportunities, power play 1. James Reimer or Cam Talbot? I like Reimer this week. Should I trade JT Miller and Cernak for Point and Martinez? If you're getting Point and Martinez, you should absolutely make that trade. All right, Predators Lightning. Oh, God. The poor Predators, like, they just can't seem to figure it out right now. I feel like every night's just a blowout, but Predators won here. Again, they're in just a really tough matchup against the Lightning's top line. They haven't been producing at the rates that we've seen this Predators 1 line produce. Like, they were really good 2 years ago. They were pretty good 5-on-5 last year. I know Arvidsson's a really big expected goals for guy. He takes a lot of shots, has a lot of shot opportunities, but they've just been so underwhelming. But their price here actually isn't too bad. Like, they're not, if they were 15K or more, I'd probably be off of them, but I'm going to have a little bit tonight just because they're a good filler stack and I do a lot of lineups. But if I'm doing cash or under 10 lineups, I'm probably not touching Predators 1 here. But Predators 2, not bad. I think Nick Cousins is on power play 1 as well at min price. And I saw that they have actually been, and you can see here in the short sample, they've been pretty good expected goals for. Attempting a lot of shots. So I don't mind Predators 2 as a filler at the 10.6 price tag. Man, I can't talk today. It's the Monday blues, eh? Was that our excuse Monday, last time?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah, okay. We'll blame Monday.
Oh no, it was Saturday because we said, I mean, Saturday we're on vacation, but
Yeah, fair enough.
Monday Blues. I'm down with that.
Yeah. And on the defensive side here, Yossi at 5,700 is probably one of the best plays tonight. It's just so hard for me to get away from Yossi, who has 200 shots and 150 blocks a season. His peripherals are always going to be there. So I'm going to definitely get to a lot of Yossi tonight. I'm probably going to have a fair amount of Ellis too. Predators have just been right into a lot of penalty trouble, and the Lightning are going to try and shoot a lot. So hopefully Ellis can take advantage on that penalty kill and get a bunch of blocks. And I am whoever's starting tonight, Saros or Rene, they're my 6-foot pole tonight.
Yeah, they are definitely going to be my 10-foot pole. I think that the Lightning just have a great matchup against the Preds, who, again, like we've seen it with a lot of teams this year, like especially not having the full training camp and everything. Like a lot of like teams that have been good in the past, especially in the past couple of years, have just had a slow start. And I think the Preds are showing their true colors here. I think that this is a team that struggled to score goals over the past couple of seasons as well, and it's just come more into fruition with this weird kind of start to the league and everything this year. So give me Yossi at 5,700. I will always take Yossi, no matter what slate he is and no matter what price he is. But for 5,700, like that's just even more enticing to take him.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I the first line is probably your best bet to score a goal tonight. But if you're trying to be a little contrarian and a little sneaky and find like a good filler stack, I don't think line 2 is your worst option. You've got some power play correlation there with Duchesne and Granlund, and I did just check. Cousins is on the first power play unit with Johansson, Forsberg, Ellis, Yossi. So definitely you get power play correlation in that second line as well. And they're cheap too, right? So you can be a little contrarian and take them as like a filler stack, but I wouldn't take them as your primary stack by any means, obviously. And then third line, I'm probably not touching altogether. And then Ryan Ellis and Matthias Ekholm. I think the Preds always have good D options for DKs. And now that Ellis's price is down along with Yossi's, and Ekholm is always a good option for like a cheaper D. Loves to block, loves to shoot. So I'll probably have all three of them in my lineups tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Ekholm too. Plays so many minutes. So the Lightning side, I think the biggest thing I want to talk about here is the Lightning power play and the Predators penalty kill. This is a tale of the team with probably the best power play aside from Edmonton, I guess, especially after last night, against probably the worst penalty kill in the league right now. Yeah, Leafs have also been really good too. I just think the Lightning are in such a good spot, especially on the power play. The Predators have given up 11 goals so far in 48 minutes, which is the highest in the league in terms of goals per minute given up on the power play. I just think the Predators are going to, again, get into some penalty trouble, being the slower team in this game, and the Lightning are going to take advantage of that. So we saw the Lightning with like fairly low ownership 2 nights ago. I think they were at like 6 or 7%. They scored 4 goals, but that first, I think Palat had a bagel, had a 0, and then Stammer had a goal and pointed a few points, but definitely going to Lightning 1 here tonight. I really like the 5-on-5 matchup. I also really like the power play matchup. So from what I'm looking at right here, it's kind of weird, but it looks like Lightning 3 plays against the Forsberg line, and then Lightning 1 and 2 split time against the Duchesne line last game. So if we can see that point line going against the Duchesne line, that's a super favorable 5-on-5 matchup for them. And then the added penalty, the power play opportunity. I think all 3 of them are on power play 1 on this Lightning first line. So I really like them tonight. Our projections don't too much, but I think I'm just going to give them a manual bump here just because of the matchup. Lightning 2, I'm not a fan of. I've never really been a fan of. They don't produce too much 5-on-5. They're more of the shutdown line. But I don't mind Killorn and power play 1. So if you're doing a power play stack, you're definitely okay leaving out maybe Palat and adding in Killorn, or, Point, Stammer, Killorn, and Hedman, something like that. You can get weird with it. Line 3, I really like. They're super cheap all the time, and they produce so much 5-on-5. So the best filler stack, and probably the only third line I'm getting to tonight, is going to be Lightning 3. And on the defensive side, you know what I'm going to say. I love Hedman. I love McDonough. Aside from John Marino and Ekholm, I think McDonough is probably my favorite play at that price. It's just kind of hard for me to shy away from a $3,400 defenseman in a favorable matchup against the Predators. And he plays 25 minutes a night. So definitely going to have some of McDonough, some of Hedman. And Vasilevsky is going tonight, I'm assuming. It's Vaz. I don't know if we have confirmation on it yet, but
it's expected that he starts, yeah.
Assuming it's Vaz, and he's the best goalie every night. So definitely give me some shares of Vaz tonight.
Okay, so the Serg has been like bad, and we've seen his price drop. And at 3,700, I'm still just like not enticed to take him at all. So I'm probably off Sergachev. Hedman at 7K, he's expensive, but he's been great in terms of his shot production and his point production. So I'm definitely going to get to some of him. It's just tough to get him with that first power play or that first line for the Lightning to correlate for like a power play, just because they're so expensive. But I love Lightning one tonight. I think they have the best chance of going off tonight against a really weak Predators team. I know the Preds are known for their defense, but we just haven't seen that at all as of late, just in the start of the season with that team. So, but I agree with Mike. I'm probably offline too. Like you get a little bit of power play correlation there with Killorn and Johnson. I think sees second power play time with Cirelli, but they're just a little bit too expensive for me. Like I don't think Cirelli warrants a price around 5K. But the third line is cheap, and like Mike said, they're good. They're a great filler for expensive lines like Boston One, which I'll talk about in a second. But I love the Lightning tonight. I think they're one of, if not the best option on the slate tonight.
Yeah, really good spot. Looks like they had a lot of power play time too last game, so assuming that's going to be the same tonight. Killorn actually led the team in power play time, but they're all around the same time here. 7 minutes, 10 seconds. Stammer had 650, so it's pretty much the same.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's just answer a couple questions here quickly. Also, apparently my chair is in, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice.
Should I trade Tuukka or Shesterkin and Larson? Oh, should I trade Tuukka for Shesterkin and Larson? I wouldn't. I think Tuukka is the best goalie in that trade. Someone sent me Barzell. Send me Point for Barzell. If you're getting Point, I would accept it. You think
Absolutely.
Grizz is worth keeping, or is he just going to keep stonking us every week? Man, I don't know about that. It's so hard. Like, if you don't have an IR spot, you could probably get rid of him, but I'm not sure how on top of it your league's going to be in terms of picking him up. Mrazek out long-term. Hudobin and Gibson are available for this year. Yeah, you're fine with Hudobin. Point league, I traded Petrie for Larkin, and another trade Heiskanen for Rasmus Anderson. I'm pretty happy with Larkin and Anderson in my lineup. I would have actually kept Heiskanen over Anderson, but you definitely won the Larkin trade.
For sure.
Also, I got Letang too. Fox and Anderson is available. Which one would you guys pick? Fox for me. I'm not sure what you think, but Fox over Rasmus for me.
Yeah, Fox for sure. Just more upside in terms of points, right? And shots.
Marino or Romanov this week? Marino for me if Letang's out all week. Who's a good defense or winger I can get from Malkin or Bergeron? Oof. It's so hard to see. But for those guys, like you're getting Carlson, Hedman, Yossi, Dougie, like those four defensemen probably. Yossi's probably the biggest buy low in that category. For wingers, depends on your league, but if it like there's hits, shots, penalty minutes, probably Brady to Chuck or Matt. Probably take Johnny Gaudreau too. All right. If you guys are enjoying the content so far, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this every day. If you want to support us over on our Patreon, this sheet's available as well as some other premium tools I'll run through in a little bit. We have our awesome trade analyzer we just finished up today. So if you guys are like looking to make trades, for example, Evgeny Malkin, and say you want to trade him for Sebastian Aho, so you can see that the Malkin side wins. So that's just something we're working on right now to help you guys. And if you guys are liking the content so far, it's just another way to support us. All right, Bruins Capitals. So Pasternak's back, thank God. Love the Bruins won tonight. It's kind of hard for me to get away from them. I think the biggest issue with them is that they're extremely pricey, and there's only a few lines you compare them with. So anyone that's picking Bruins 1 is also going to have the same failure stacks, which is probably going to be Tampa 3. So if you're taking Bruins 1 and Tampa 3 and you're filling out all 50,000 salary, just be careful because you're probably going to have a dupe lineup with somebody else. So try and get different. Maybe do a 3-2-1 or a 3-1-1, something like that. You got to get different if you're taking Bruins 1 tonight. But they're in a favorable matchup. The Ovechkin line is terrible defensively. So assuming that the Bergeron line is going to go up against them, it's a very favorable 5-on-5 matchup. I don't know if Vanacek is a fluke or not. I guess we'll see. But definitely like Bruins 1 tonight. I definitely like Bruins 2 tonight, especially with Craig Smith up there. He's one of the highest shot volume players in the league, one of the best expected goals players in the league. And you guys know I love my analytics, so that only bumps him up a little bit for me. And then Richie's on power play 1, which we were just talking about. So I love that. I think they're a really good value tonight. They're getting like 16 to 18 minutes, which is very favorable. So definitely give me Bruins 1, Bruins 2 tonight. And McAvoy at 4,900, that's a really, really good price for him. I think that when he was at 56, 5,700, I was, completely off of him. But under 5K, power play 1, playing 27 minutes, he's going to be on for every Bruins goal. So I'm going to have a lot of McAvoy tonight. Assuming it's Tuukka tonight. No, I think it's Halak actually.
Rask is expected actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, you're right. It is Halak.
Halak. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna get to some Halak tonight as well. I think it's a good matchup against the Capitals.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's Tuukka or Halak, honestly. Like I like the matchup against the Caps, like Mike said. McAvoy for 4,900. Every time you see him jump up to that first power play spot, he always seems to have success. He had a goal and an assist last game with 3 shots. So for 4,900, like that's a great price for definitely some offensive upside as well. But like Mike said, like if you're taking Boston 1 tonight, which I agree is similar to the Lightning, like one of, if not the best options for just taking like a single line tonight. It's going to be tough to pair a filler line with them. So definitely get creative in that aspect. Look around, see, like Mike's. I like the 3-2-1 idea. I think that's a good option. There's definitely some ways you can go about that, but you definitely have to get to the Bruins first line somehow, because as we've seen in the past, like every time if they go off, like they're all going off and they're going to be the best, the nuts for the night essentially. So line 2 with Craig Smith, that line's just like super expensive for me. I don't know how I really feel about that. If I take like a cheaper primary line, like one of the Flames lines, for example, I might get to some Boston too. But other than that, it's tough to kind of pair them with a pricier line, obviously due to Krejci being 4,600 and Craig Smith being up at 4K. And I'm probably off the third line together as well, unless I'm pairing them with trying to fit them in with like a Lightning stack or something like that as well. There's not a lot of options in either in terms of like good third cheap lines. Like they're the same price as Tampa 3, so you just got to kind of get creative. But I like the Bruins tonight. I think it's a good matchup, even though we saw the Caps win the last game.
Yeah, Caps are just a little bit depleted right now. I kind of wish Kuznetsov was playing because he's just terrible defensively. But favorable matchup. I love McAvoy. McAvoy is really good at that price. So yeah, just to talk a little bit about the Bruins 1 and their correlation. So I did a little analysis on correlation, and they were actually one of the highest correlating lines in terms of if one scores, will the others get a point on it? And it seems like I've only done about 10 teams so far, and they're the highest so far. So I really like them. And McAvoy also has a ton of correlation with them too. So that just only justifies why you should be taking them more tonight. Capital side, so it's just a brutal matchup against the Bruins tonight. The hardest defensive team in hockey, but I mean this first line's pretty good 5-on-5. They have decent numbers. The Capitals should score a few goals tonight. I think they're projected to score over 2 tonight. So if it's coming from anywhere, it's probably going to come from the first line. Someone mentioned to me this morning that Vrana was down to the 4th line, so I don't know what's happening there. Maybe he's struggling defensively. I'm not entirely sure. But if I'm going anywhere tonight, it's going to be Caps 1. I'm not interested in Caps 2 or 3 at all. I think so. Chara left injured last game with like a puck to the face. I'm not sure if he's in tonight, but I was all over Chara last game. He has been playing a bunch of minutes, especially with Orlov out and Schultz is also out. So their defense are super depleted. Chara's playing a lot more minutes, so I'm going to have some at 2,900 just for that block bonus. I think he had 6 last game, and then he ended up leaving injured. Wow. So one of the blocks was the puck to the face, which caused him to leave the game. But and then Vanacek, I know everyone is on the Vanacek hype train. I'm trying to get there. The tickets are a little bit expensive for the train, but I think at some point I'll buy one. But at 7,600, it's a fair price. He had no ownership last game, and he had like 40 saves. So I'll have some Vanacek tonight.
Yeah, he's been great as of late, which is bizarre because he's kind of just come into the league this year and has seen success due to Samsonov being injured. But I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I probably won't have too much of him tonight, just because I think the Bruins matchup is very favorable. Like we saw a 4-3 win for the Caps last time they played on the 30th, so it'll probably be another high scoring game, hopefully. But it's still like Char for 2,900. I think that's a good punt option as well. The guy loves to block shots. And then John Carlson has been an absolute stud as of late. He's definitely a good option. Is going to be one of my higher owned D just because he's a little bit cheaper than Hedman. And I think just given his like a little bit of recency bias, but I think he's definitely warranted being an elite offensive defenseman. So I'm going to have some of him tonight for sure. And yeah, if I'm going anywhere, it's Caps 1. I don't like either of the second or the third line. I just think they're in a blender right now because of Kuznetsov and you've got Connor Sheary and Richard Panik with TJ Oshie at center, which I don't think TJ Oshie's ever played center ever in his life. So it's Caps 1 or bust for me tonight.
Yeah. So they have the Caps on daily faceoff. The Caps fourth line is the number 1 fourth line because Vrana's up there. So
yeah, I don't know why he's there.
Yeah. Just answer a few questions. Who's a good defenseman? Oh, sorry, I answered that. Is Landeskog for Yossi a good deal in the points league? Yeah, that's a fair trade. If you need a defense, it's a good trade.
Yeah.
Who to drop between Meyer and Schwartz? I would drop Meyer. I'm trying to trade Gurionov and Barry together. You think I can get someone good for that? Yeah, I think you could. Maybe you can even get Pedersen for that. That'd be sick. So final game tonight, the Flames and Jets. So I really like the Flames tonight. The Jets are a brutal defensive team. The Flames have been producing tons of scoring chances. I know Hellebuck's in net and he's been lights out, but I mean he also won Vezina with a 3 goals against average just because of how bad the Jets are defensively. So definitely give me some Flames 1 and 2 tonight. Line 2 especially is priced really low. Monahan and Gaudreau are both under 6K, which is crazy to me. Power play 1 for both of them. I like Mangiapane as well. If you go look up his Barrie Colts numbers, he was phenomenal in the OHL. He's just a guy that produces a lot of scoring chances and makes a lot of good plays. So I really like Flames 2 tonight. I also like Flames 1. I think Matt Tkachuk is so hard to ignore with this high shot volume. He's always in front of the net, creating a bunch of high danger chances. And I think if you want, you could even get away from Doobie and take like Tkachuk, Lindholm, Monahan, Gaudreau, and have like a 4-man stack, like a 2-2, all correlated on the power play. The Jets are horrendous defensively. So I think I have it up here. Actually, the Jets are one of the least penalized teams in the league. 37 penalty minutes. So they're not one of the 5 teams in that Canadian division at the top here. But I still think it's a favorable matchup for the Flames. Defensive side, Anderson, still too expensive for me. I think, actually, you know what? Under 5K is fine. You can definitely pair him with some of your Flames lines, but I just think I would rather go to McAvoy, who's playing 25, 26 minutes compared to Anderson, who's playing about 21, 22. And then Markstrom, man, he's been something else this year. So definitely going to have some Markstrom. I think everyone is also going to have some Markstrom just because of the last game and the options tonight, but definitely give me some Flames 1, definitely give me some Flames 2, and give me some Markstrom under 8K.
We saw the shutout last game against a Montreal team that, like I said earlier, has just been running over everybody in the Canadian division. So he's a great option. He's a great goalie. Love him for 7,800. I think that's a great play tonight. Even as a one-off goalie, the Jets are going to shoot a lot, and I think he's shown that he's more than capable of shutting the door, even though the Jets have some offensive tools up there. If someone could explain to me the Mark Giordano price, I'd love to hear it. I don't understand why he's still priced super high. His peripherals are fairly decent, and he does shoot the puck quite often, but he's not seeing that power play one time for me. So for 5,400, I don't think he's really worth his price. I'd like to see him around like 5K maybe. I think that would be a little bit of a better option. But Noah Hannafin is your other guy at min price. I think like for 18 minutes, that's not awful. But it's better to go with who was it that was min price on D that we were talking about? John Marino. Yeah, John Marino is just your number one punt play for tonight, given that he's on power play 1 and everything. But I really like the Flames tonight. I think they're starting to get into a groove with coming off of that win against the Canadiens, and hopefully they can continue that going forward. I think the first and second line are great options. Like, they're cheap. They have really good offensive upside. They all have power play correlation no matter what line you go with. So I like all of them, and they're cheaper players on the line, like Mangiapane and Dubé are still like viable options for getting in on that scoring as well. So I really like them, and then obviously throw some Rasmus Anderson in with a couple of your stacks there just for that correlation. And I really like what you said about taking the 4 of them for the power play stack. Like even though the Jets, like you said, are don't give up a lot of penalties, I still think it's a really good kind of contrarian play there, and they're all cheap enough that you would be able to do it right. It's not like you're trying to get to like a full Oilers power play stack with Nuge in there as well, right? Like, that's really hard to get to. So I like that play. And yeah, Jacob Markstrom, just great options tonight as well.
Yeah, under 8K. Just taking goalies in this Canadian division is hard to justify, but there's not many options tonight. So Tkachuk would be my hat trick pick for tonight. Yeah, I'll give my hat trick picks. we'll talk about that. Should I bench UC Saros? I would tonight. Trocheck or Hornquist? Oof. Trocheck for me.
I like Trocheck.
Hornquist only plays like 14 minutes a night. So Toffoli or Perron?
I think he's a little bit overrated.
Yeah, he is. Hornquist, absolutely. Toffoli or Perron for me. All right.
Yeah.
Jets. New lines tonight, guys. So Kopp is on the first line. I have no idea what's going to happen when Pierre-Luc Dubois comes in, because this top 6 is really good. I just don't know where they're going to put him or who's going to move down. I'm assuming it's going to be Stastny. I just can't see him. He seems to be the odd man out. But Kopp, 5,500 tonight, so his price is up quite a bit. The Jets are pricey tonight. The Flames have been really good defensively. Probably, aside from Montreal, they're the best defensive team in this division. So I'm not too excited about the Jets tonight, actually. I think I would like to see Wheeler, Connor, Scheifele again on the top line. So I'm going to be underweight in the Jets. I'm assuming they're going to get quite a bit of ownership because of Ehlers' recency bias and there not being too many big names on the slate. But yeah, they don't project too well for us. So I think just be careful with the Jets here. I think they are going to get quite a bit of ownership. The matchup is tough against the Tkachuk line. I'm assuming it's going to be Scheifele going against them. But even if it is the Stastny line, it's still going to be a hard matchup. So Jets 1 and 2, they're not bad. I'm going to be definitely under the field on them tonight. Markstrom's just been shutting the door. So, and on the defensive side, I just wish Pionk was on the first power play unit. It blows my mind why he's not. I don't know what Maurice is doing right now. But yeah, no one on the Jets defense that I'm excited about. And Hellebuck, you can never go wrong with, just because he is a Vezina goalie and he's a goalie that can make 40, 50 saves in a game like nothing. But I just think the Flames are going to have so much opportunity in the Jets zone, and so many, especially with Tkachuk, like he's going to be in front of that net the entire game, just causing havoc.
I agree. I'm surprised they broke up that second line. They've been seeing a lot of success lately, and I really like taking them in Draftkings just as like a filler stack. Even if I saw like Connor, Scheifele, Ehlers, I'd be more enticed to take that top Jets line. But because Kopp is up there, even though he's seen a lot of success lately, playing with Ehlers especially, I'm not too enticed just because of the pricing of that line as well, right? Like, I would rather go to either of the Flames lines than take either of the Jets top 6 lines here, just because like the price is just so high for them. Like Wheeler at 6,700. Like, I get that he was playing with Scheifele before, but I think he's also a player that's a little bit overrated in terms of point production. Stassi's been great, but I'd love to see Connor on that top line instead of Kopp, and then I'd be more enticed to take them. But I think the Flames definitely have the favorable matchup here. So I probably it's tough. Like it's a small slate, but I'm probably off the Jets tonight. I'm okay with fading them if for some reason like that first line goes off because Copp and Ehlers have seen success. Like
Yeah.
I'll live with that. I think there's better options tonight, and especially in terms of D as well. Like if Pionk was on first power play, then maybe I'd be a little bit higher on him. But I think Connor's a good option, even as like a one-off goalie. He's an elite goalie, right? So it doesn't really matter the matchup, even though the Jets are pretty bad defensively. He's always going to get shots. He's always going to make saves. So I just think it's a little bit more one-sided than people would expect with this Flames matchup here.
Yeah. Yeah, like that Copp line has been producing like crazy 5-on-5, like Copp, Stastny, and Ehlers.
Yeah.
And like we have their numbers here on the second line, so we're gonna have to remove that. But that's what it was before the show. So 4.12 expected goals for, which is a really high, probably the highest on the slate tonight, and that was with Ehlers and Copp here. So kind of sad that Maurice moved them. Someone just asked quickly, what's the Pasternak value? 2.34, so it's pretty high. Granlund or Gurionov? Gurionov for me.
Yeah.
Carlson or Trouba? Carlson. Wheeler or Malkin? Oof.
Malkin for sure. I just think he has.
Yeah, me too. It's close because of the Canadian division. That's the only thing I'll say.
If your scoring is Cats and it takes hits and blocks, then it's Wheeler by a long shot. But if it's just points, then Malkin.
Let's see. Yeah, Malkin's a better player. All right. Who could I trade Geo Forsberg Kadri? You have to reword that sentence, Matt. I don't understand it. What is the Pasternak value? Oh, I showed that. What should I do with Grizzly? Just toss him on your IR for now. Suter or Trouba? Suter for me. Not sure about you. Oh, for a trade for other players, if you were to try and trade, like if you're trading for Pasternak, I don't know what people value him, but he's a top 10 player when he's healthy. Maybe like a top 5 player when he's healthy.
I consider him top 5. Yeah. I think he's in the untouchable category there.
Do you think Fiala will turn it around? Yeah, I do. I mean,
I do.
He had 3 goals in a row, then got suspended. So should I move Pavelski while he's still hot? You should.
I would definitely move
All right,
Pavelski.
so we'll do a couple things. So favorite 2 lines tonight.
Favorite 2 lines tonight, Mike. Well, it's Lightning 1 for me. I just think like they're just head and shoulders above any matchup that they see in terms of the Preds. And my second favorite line is the Crosby line.
All right. For me,
what do you got?
Canadians 1 tonight, and Flames 2. My 2 favorite.
The Flames are a great option.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna be my highest owned team, but I think Bruins 1 is sneaky good too.
Yeah.
Okay, non min price favorite D. You can't say Marino.
I think Charlie McAvoy 4,900 is my non min price favorite D. How about you?
That's a good one. Yeah, I like Hedman tonight. I like Yossi tonight. Like I like paying up for getting those D, even though they're playing against each other. Like Yossi for 5,700 just still boggles my mind.
Yeah, crazy. And finally, your hat trick pick for tonight. So I think
my hat trick,
and this is for the chat too. The chat, feel free to add in your hat trick picks here. I saw Devils for Cup had Matt Tkachuk as his hat trick pick. So go ahead.
go first this time.
Oh, you want me?
Who do you want?
Who do I want? I think, man, I don't want to say it because it's too easy. But I'm going to say Pasternak tonight.
That's a good one. You know what? I'm going to go with Braden Point.
Oh.
I like Point tonight.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we'll see if anyone in the chat wants to give their hat trick picks for tonight. Will Romanov score a point tonight? I wish I knew the answer to that. I would say, I mean, it's so hard to answer that question. He's kind of likely, probably one of the more favorable matchups for Montreal tonight. So I would say it's kind of likely for him to get a point. Is Barkov, Shen, and Yandel good for Pasternak? Yeah, that's fair. That's fine. You can just pick up players on the waiver wire. Hall, Kyrou, Hoffman for Stamkos, Fiala, Palmieri. Yeah, I like the Stamkos side. How about you, Clark?
I would do. Yeah, I like the Stamkos side. All scoring except him, so
yeah, that doesn't affect it for any of those.
Shots. Yeah.
So we got Ovi hat trick, Stammer hat trick. Any more hat trick predictions?
I like the Stammer play. I was considering him, but I just think points the guy.
Mete
for me tonight.
Oh, the Malkin hat trick. Come on, boys.
Malkin, okay. All right.
That'll give us the bread tonight. Easy. We'll be eating good if Malkin gets a hat trick tonight. Oh, Kapanen. So the Malkin line.
Sneaky pick.
I hope someone hits the hat trick guess. Gensel, we got a lot of Pittsburgh tonight.
The Foley again against Vancouver.
Wow.
That's not the worst take I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's awesome. Should I try and trade away Burns? I mean, it depends on who you can get for him, right?
Tony D'Angelo hat trick.
In a deep league, would you take Farabee, Höglander, or Iafallo? Höglander for me.
Yeah.
Need to drop either Taze, Grizz, DeBrincat. Who should I keep? I think Taze is out long term. Like, I think he might be out for the whole season. So probably Taze.
It's probably Taves.
Oh, Sid. Cousins 2,500 best punt forward. I guess it's just a really hard matchup. Like, if you really, really need to pay down 2,500, like, he's fine. He's playing power play 1 too. So
I don't like the term punt forward. I don't think you should ever take a punt forward.
Neither do I. I think Michael B is right. I forgot Mete's back in the lineup. Alabi. Is Andrew Kopp will continue to make point? Yeah, like, I mean, he's not going to be a point per game, but I'm assuming like his production is going to stay he's going to sustain that production like pretty close. Verhaeghe going to keep pouring it out, man. He's been a huge surprise. Like, I don't think anyone was on Verhaeghe this year at all. Because he was like an underwhelming player on, I guess, a stacked Tampa team. Like, I feel like Cirelli's like that, where he just gets undermined by all these like all the star power. Is it a good player to have on the team? Yeah, that's fine. Last question: Guryanov or Kopp? I would say if Kopp maintains his time on the first line, then probably Kopp.
And I think if Mangiapane stays in the top 6, he's a good kind of deep forward to have. But if he keeps getting moved around, I'd probably be off him.
Yeah. Thoughts on Bertuzzi's injury? What was Bertuzzi's injury? I know he's injured. I didn't know his what the full injury report was on him. I typed in Bertuzzi injury. First thing that comes up, Todd Bertuzzi, Steve Moore incident.
Oh no.
Pavelski for
Larkin
Marner.
or Laine?
I mean, if you can get Marner for Pavelski.
I don't think that'll go through, but Larkin or Laine? Probably Larkin.
Sorry. Dobson or Russell are taken. Who should I take for him? Like, if those guys are taken, you can probably just stream John Marino for this week with Letang out. Larkin or Laine? What did you say? Larkin? It's close.
Yeah, I said Larkin.
Yeah, it's close. Sebastian Aho.
Sebastian Aho is point per game right now.
Yeah, not a
he
bust.
has 6 points in 6 games.
And something really important too with that Carolina team is they've only played 6 games, right? So if you're comparing him to, like, let's say Besser, for example, who's played 11 games, and you're looking and you're saying, oh my God, why does Aho have half the points as Besser? It's because he's played half the games. So it's actually worthwhile probably to trade for those guys if they're available in your league. Like, if people are willing to trade Carolina players, because they are like 5 or 6 games less than some of the players you've played.
Yeah, Aho's point per game too, guys. He hasn't had a slow start.
Tanar, how much point? Tatar, how much point tonight? I'll say 2 points for him. Would you expand into baseball? Yep, we're looking at expanding into baseball. Hopefully we have some baseball fans in here. Would you take Dobson or Höglander? Depends on your needs. Like if you need forwards, Höglander, but if you need D, Dobson. But Dobson I'd probably take over Höglander because of PP1. Devin Tays is out long term. And Jonathan Tays is out long term. Morgan Riley for Nylander. Morgan Riley? Depends on the needs though, right? Like if you have a stacked D core, you don't need Riley. Like if you can get rid of Riley for Nylander because your D is stacked, that's fine.
You could probably get somebody better than Nylander for Morgan Riley, I think.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, go Giants. Mike Yastrzemski. Tim Lincecum. I'm taking Tim Lincecum this year. All right, anyways, this will conclude the stream. We've been live for 1 hour now. So I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. We had a great audience, a lot of awesome questions, a lot of discussion in the chat. Make sure you guys have those hat trick picks in your head. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. I should have actually wrote them down, but we'll see. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. If you liked our content so far, feel free to leave a like. Follow us on our Twitter at @fantasy_puck. All of our updates are going to be on there, as well as in our Discord. So that should be all in our description if you guys want to join our Discord. We're up over 100 members now, so the Fantasy Puck community is growing. We'd love all of you guys to be a part of it. If you want access to our spreadsheets, our trade analyzer, or if you want to just support the channel, head over to our Patreon. That's also in our description. And any final words, Chris Charlton?
Guys, if you guys have hat trick picks tonight, definitely tweet at us at @fantasy_puck. Tweet us your hat trick selection for tonight, and then make sure you guys get in the Discord. Any type of questions that you guys have, fantasy hockey related, DraftKings related. I've had a couple people message me about DraftKings and what that's all about. So if you guys have any questions, definitely go in the Discord and post in one of the channels. There's a lot of guys
in a Discord channel. So
perfect. So we have a DraftKings channel now too. If you guys have any questions regarding that, that's probably the easiest way to reach in each one of those channels. Just give Mike or I just an @ or something on there, and we'll get to your question as soon as we can. And thanks to Mike again for having me. Love doing this with him every day. And let's make some money tonight, guys. It's a good slate. I'm excited.